My name is Christy Nelson, and welcome to my webinar on future-proofing data centers. I hope you're enjoying the summit so far. Are you ready for some new knowledge? Let's go! Here's some details about my background. I started my career initially as a paralegal, and I decided to get my MBA in entrepreneurship. While I was in grad school, I came up with the concept of establishing my consulting firm, which is called E.G.S Management Consult Inc. We specialize in research-based consulting to assess the performance and operations of businesses. Here's what we're going to cover in this webinar. We're going to start off with the evolution of data storage. We're going to talk about its journey from the early beginnings. Then we'll delve into the global data storage market, who the competitors are, and the outlook for startups. We'll touch on the future-proofing concepts in the new era of data storage, and we'll end it with the best management practices as far as what is the focus on operations. It began its journey in 1725 when a textile worker designed punch cards to be fed into a 19th century computer. This information became part of the implementation of recording citizens in the 1890 US Census. By 1950, magnetic tape drives took over. These were long strips of narrow plastic film with tapes of thin magnetic coating, and they were typically used for offline storage. These shrank and became cassette tapes. By the 70s, IBM released the floppy disks. Later on, in that same era, hard disks became the new storage device, and as we rolled into the 80s, hard disks became CDs, compact discs, and solid state drives were replaced with flash drives. Let's touch a little bit on the global storage market, which is what it's referred to. We cannot omit COVID because of its direct impact on a global scale. In this case, it was favorable because of the heavy reliance on technology. Since we all had to transition to going digital, the expected growth term is 2020 to 2024, which will be accelerated at a CGR rate of approximately 27%. The top countries with the most data centers are the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, and China. The main market drivers to predict future growth in this market are hyperscale data centers and edge computing. A little bit more info on the global storage market. Here are three of the biggest competitors, and as of 2021, these companies account for 24% of total revenues in this market. As far as startups are concerned, they have been lucky to have market entry because of COVID. And instead of just focusing on the storage aspect, they're becoming more innovative in venturing into file storage, management, and data protection. Here are all of the countries with the most data centers and the up and coming startup data storage companies that are taking a new direction in this market. Now we are onward to the future-proofing era of data center storage. What do we mean by future-proof? This means the focus is not just on the task of storage, but being efficient, innovative, and reliable in operations. These organizations must understand that there is a dynamic between their business practices and climate change. And finally, learning about their consumer and what demands they require. Let's start with storage, which can now be deployed either on premise or in the cloud. Organizations are still reluctant to fully integrate into the cloud. So the new form of deployment is hybrid, which gives you the best of both worlds. Software design storage moves data away from hardware, which is a next step into the utilization of cloud services. However, physical data centers were not built to accommodate this new technology. So future facilities will have to address how to utilize this new form of storage. Then there is virtualization, which is the implementation of software designed data centers. The benefit is the connection of different hardware types to facilitate higher bandwidth connections to improve speed and performance. And finally, there's colocation, which is the renting of space from a third party, utilizing their data center facility, which is more cost effective. Cloud storage services will continue to innovate technology and operations. These tools are invested to optimize storage deployment with flexibility. The challenge will be to anticipate the processing and manipulation of unstructured data. Data accessibility is also of importance. Knowing where and how to locate the data and moving it among the storage software or facilities, in addition to having it available for consumers. The task of automation is also a concern to reduce human error and increase predictability. I came across this chart to enlighten you all on the future direction of data center operations. And as we all are noticing, the focus will be more on being environmentally conscious with the utilization of clean and renewable energy. There will also be a trend of downsizing to smaller data centers, which will be discussed in a later slide. Moving on to the era of sustainability. Equinix, which is the top competitor in this market, recently commented that data centers are leading the way in global sustainability. Their goal as an organization is to go green and make that a part of their environment and target companies with the same concept to do business with. They also want to maximize their efficiencies through AI deployment and real time management tools for their operations. Equinix envision on the future of data centers can be seen by this facility called the Equinix International Business Exchange that was built in France. The concept of being modular is important to enable flexibility and scalability to meet future needs. It's also why it's a smaller facility to support outside metro areas, smaller workloads moving to the edge, and towards climate neutrality. It was designed with mega cables to bring in hyperscalers and cloud services to facilitate co-location. This is to reduce cost and deployment time. And finally, another example of sustainability is a project undergoing in China with the company Highlander with their underwater data center. It is located on the seabed in the port of Hainan, and it consists of tiny data centers. The idea of cooling in the ocean reduces costs to consume less energy to be more climate neutral. The project is currently in its first phase and it is to be completed by 2025. Our final section. Let's discuss some of the best management practices. In addition to the technology side, there's also a concern in being more cost effective to focus on storage performance. I will just touch on a few of these points. First, there's predictive maintenance. This is now possible with AI and automation to be used in the form of mitigation as a practice to anticipate the unplannable. Then there's compliance with new data sovereignty because of issues arising in data security and privacy. And finally, the efficiency of IT operations by minimizing the idling of IT equipment to receive maximum value. So here we are at the end of our journey. I hope you found my webinar informative and enjoy the rest of the summit.